Good morning. We are on Kuf Yud Amud Aleph 110a for Chanukah and Rosh Chodesh. So we are 3 lines from the bottom of the page, the fourth class with Amar. The Gemara is telling us about conversations. So, unfortunately, for some reason, the recording of yesterday's class didn't come out well. I'm going to see if I can try to recover it today. It's a shame. But anyway, we discussed yesterday some conversations that some of the sages had with Yosef Sheda, Yosef the shade, the demon, for lack of a better translation, the negative spiritual force. And the conversation was regarding the nature of the issue of zugos, pairs, doing activities in pairs, and in that way inviting a harmful spiritual energy. So on that topic, the Gemara now gives us other conversations that sages had with what we would call the occult. Right, that's what's called the occult. OCCULT.
Yeah, like,
occult. It's like a
practice
of like
witchcraft.
Exactly. So as follows, again, translated literally, and what this means, the floor is still open. But just translate the conversation as literally as I can, with the help of Rashbam here, who translates all the Aramaic into Hebrew. So third line from the bottom of the page of Kuf Yud Amud Aleph 110a, fourth to last word. Amar Amemar said, Amra li rishisinihi the nashim kashvaniyos. A sort of master, a grand master amongst the female witches, told me. So she was like a teacher or mentor to other witch ladies who practice witchcraft. So she told me the following. Haiman, any individual, the paga bohu benashim kashvanes, who bumps into a female witch, I guess witch is female, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just say witch.
Warlock is a male.
Male. So we'll just say female. We'll just say witch then. So a person who bumps into a witch and is concerned for his safety, what should he do? So name Mahachi, he should tell her the following. Let's see, get the translation right. Chari chamimi b'dikula bezaya. Hot excrement in torn and hole punctured baskets. Lepumaychi nashi decharshaya should be in your mouth, you witch. This is what he should tell her. Translating literally. And then he should continue and say, Karach trechaichi, which means let the hair that you use for your witchcraftery be pulled out. This is what he should be telling her. Parach prechaichi, the wind. We're in the middle of, good morning, welcome. We're in the middle of discussing, it just began describing a witch, a chief witch, a grandmaster witch, who's telling a memar what a person should tell the witch if you should ever bump into her. And he's worried about his safety. So he should tell her, quote, hot excrement in a torn basket should be in your mouth, you witch. And then he should continue and say, let the hair that you use for your witchcraftery be pulled out. Parach prechaychi, the last 2 words on Kuf Yud Amud Aleph on 110a, which means let the wind blow away the crumbs of bread you use for your witchcraftery. Now, top of Kuf Yud Amud Beis 110b. Ibdur tablunaichi. Let your spices you use, I guess, for your witchcraftery also be blown apart, be like scattered. For it should be plattered, scattered. Parcha zika lemorika chadata the nikitaisu, and let the wind blow away the new like balsam smell, or the smell of the spices that you hold in your hand for witchcraftery. Let that be blown away by the wind. Nashim kishpaniyos, you witches.
A lot to say.
Yeah, he's got to remember all this. And then it continues. Adachaneni v'chanenechi lo itzi lagoi. So long as I've taken care of myself and God has shown me grace, and Rashbam adds, you have shown me grace, I haven't met you. So long as God has shown me grace, I've looked after myself, you've been kind to me, so I haven't met you. But hashta de itzi lagoi, now that I didn't meet you, now that I did meet you, kerchanani v'chininaichi, I know that the grace from heaven has been weakened, and I obviously didn't take care of myself so well because I bumped into you. And therefore, you're kind of asking, after having done this whole prayer or this whole declaration that all of her powers should be scattered, and acknowledging that it's only by the grace of heaven that you've been protected, with this, you are saved. End quote. An end conversation that I remember having with this, which, what is the meaning? So I don't know what it is, other than the translation directly, but here's my suggestion. The ending where he says, until now I've been by the grace of heaven, and I haven't met you. And now that I met you, I know that my grace has been diminished. I think that holds the key to the whole story. And that is namely as follows. It's something my father shares about Ayin Hara, about how Ayin Hara works. So Ayin Hara, the evil eye, we're familiar with this. The way it works is like this. This is, again, I'm sharing my father's teaching. Person A looks at person B and says, look at that guy, person B, with a beautiful car. He doesn't deserve that. That thinking, if it's spoken, certainly invites heaven to open the books and say, well, does Mr. B deserve what he has there? Mr. A makes a good point. And that's implicit in all jealousy. And all jealousy is implicit, like, why do you get to have that, not me? So that jealousy, where it's a question of, does the other person deserve, invites the heavenly court to open the books and examine, does the person indeed deserve what he has? Now, obviously, none of us, present company excluded, most people don't want the heavens to open the books on what they deserve or not. Right? Certainly not an intense examination. Half of our Rosh Hashanah prayer and Yom Kippur prayer is asking Hashem, please overlook the books. Right? So how do you deal with that? How do you respond to that? So my father's suggestion is like this. When you acknowledge to begin with that what you have is a gift and not something you deserve, then the books are closed. Because if the books are open and they ask, does this person deserve? Well, who's claiming he deserves? I'm not claiming I deserve. It's a gift. It's a gift. Hashem wants to give a gift, he can give a gift to whoever he likes. Deserving or not deserving, he can give a gift. So long as I acknowledge that it's a gift, then these things are not of concern anymore. And that's perhaps what he's saying here at the end. It's by the grace of heaven that I haven't met you yet. And now that I met you, I know my grace is down. In other words, he's just accepting whatever it is, because to begin with, when I never had a problem with you, which was because by the grace of heaven. And now that I had you, it's because Hashem decided that the grace is ran out. It's fine. This is the way it is. So
are we saying?
Sorry, go ahead.
We say we don't want the books of heaven to be open, because once they'll be open, then will be under the scrutiny, and then
that's right.
And then we'll see. Well, even though you don't want to have
kol chai, no one living can be justified, right? There's no one who is perfect.
Mm.
So if you're looking for, God forbid, for an excuse as to why someone's not deserving, unfortunately, we can find them. It's the nature of humanity.
Right.
So it's on us to acknowledge that what we have is a gift. And that's what he says here at the end. It's by God's grace I haven't met you at all. And now that I did meet you, okay, so my grace has calmed down. My grace has cooled down. So that's the way it is. Which is perhaps why the preamble is, let all the things you use to harm me be scattered. At the whole thing. I don't know what the hot dung is in the ripped basket. I'm not sure what that's all about.
What does the lesson say? What did they?
The question was a broken basket full of hot feces should be in your mouth. That was the expression. I'm not sure what that means.
Aramaic? How do they write it?
Sorry?
It's Aramaic. How do they write it? How do they?
It's Aramaic here. Chari, which means like the Hebrew word chara, like chari means like manure or feces. Chamimi, that's hot. B'tikula, in a basket. Bezayu, that's broken. Lepumaychu, in your mouth. Nishi, techeresha, you witch. You female witch. Mayor, relax. Anyway, I don't know what that's about. I don't know. It's a rip basket. It's not just regular feces. It's hot feces. I could think of something like it, like in the sense that all klipa is like waste, right? It's like we were saying last time, klipa is like a parasite. So it's like unhealthy tissue that takes healthy tissue. So all klipa, all negativity is like waste. It's alive, and it gets its life from healthy nutrition, but it's completely corrupted, right? So there's that association, and maybe that's what he's saying. He's saying like your mouth, as in what you consume, your consumption is waste. It's not the true life of connection to Hashem. It's like the waste. It's like the
It's like one step worse than a parasite.
Yeah. Well, all klipa is referred to as that. Enjoyment, the physical pleasures of this world are referred to actually as like the waste of the angels, right? Right, because everything receives its life from God, and life is pleasure, right? So, a good, healthy life is pleasure. So, more connected to Hashem there are, without corruption of life. So it's pure, true spiritual life. It's pure spiritual pleasure. But as it gets corrupted, you just get the pleasure part and not the connection to Hashem, and that's kind of like the waste.
The materiality.
It's the materiality of it. You get the waste. It's the parasite. It's technically coming from the healthy tissue, but it's like the expelled part that we don't even want. So you're kind of declaring that your life, which considering that you're a klipa, is just hot feces in a broken basket. It's not even a good vessel. It's not even a good keli. It's not a proper vessel. It's not a proper keli to receive divine life. It's a broken vessel because it's completely waste.
It's like two insults.
Yeah, it's an insult. Exactly.
On an insult.
That's right. You're declaring that you as a entity, klipa, are just your whole entire life, your mouth, your sustenance is a broken basket and hot dung. Because it's all just wasted, expelled, non-proper keli recipient of life, as opposed to healthy life, which is proper kalim, my physical body, which takes healthy nutrition. All you have is that's expelled at the end of the unhealthy stuff they want to get rid of in a broken basket that can't even hold it straight. Right? And all your power is therefore blown out to the wind. It's not real. That's what I keep on saying. Let your spices be expelled. It's fragmented. It's scattered. It's nothing. It's not real. And it's only by God's grace that I have gifts and never met you and never got destroyed by you. And it's by God's grace that I'm bumping into you now. And that's kind of what defends yourself by acknowledging what klipa is, how it's remember like the egla rufa, where the person acknowledges what klipa is and throws it away, casts it out. It's kind of like the dung analogy and the dispersion analogy, where acknowledge what klipa is and say, it's wind, it's dust, it's nothing. Everything that exists is by the grace of God. And I haven't met you by the grace of God. And now that I met you, it's also what Hashem wants. Fine, so the grace has ran out a little bit. You're kind of just acknowledging what klipa is, sending it to where it belongs, and acknowledging that whatever you have comes from Hashem.
You can't ignore it. You have to confront it.
Confront it, acknowledge it, and then you could say, necessary. That's correct.
Just get rid of it.
Your waste, just expunge. In a basket that has holes in it, it's not even a proper clay. Maybe this is what it means. Which would lead to the next statement. Back to the issue of Zugas, the pairs. B'marava in the west, in Yerushalayim. We are here in the east, in Babylonia. Now, b'marava in the west, in Jerusalem, loy kop yazuga. They didn't care for this whole issue of pairs. They were not concerned with it. As opposed to Rav Dimi min Harda, Rav Dimi who came from the city of Naharda, which is in Babylonia, Kapid, he was concerned.
There's no treatment of this in the Talmud Pesachim on Zugos.
Good question. Probably is. Yeah, and he goes on to say, Rav Dimi was so concerned, afilu arushma de chavisa, even on marking his barrels of wine. He would mark them. He would make sure not to make the marks in pairs. It should be in odd numbers, the markings.
What are the markings for again?
Like marking barrel, numbering them, or
barrel number one,
labeling them.
Barrel 3.
Something, I guess so. Maybe barrel 1, barrel 3.
The hotels, the same thing. A lot of them don't have floor. You don't have always floor 14.
13.
13. That's what
It's a superstition of some sort. Yeah. So they,
That's some kind of superstition.
yeah. So Rav Dimi was so concerned with Kizugos, even the markings on his barrels, he'd make sure not to have Kizugos. And the Gemara says, Ava Uvdil was once a time, Upaka Chavisa, that one of his barrels burst. Because I guess he forgot to mark it. Rav Dimi in Naharda, in the city of Naharda, which is Babylonia. Okay, so in Babylonia, in Yerushalayim, they didn't care. In the West, they didn't care. In Israel, they didn't care. Babylonia, they did care. Rav Dimi so much cared that he was so careful about even his.
What were you saying about it? One of them broke?
His barrels. And one time he failed to be careful and he marked one of his barrels in pairs and the barrel burst. So it's a real thing, obviously. So how does this work? In Israel, they don't care, so it's not real. But it is real because in Babylonia, they did care. And
you were saying about Ein Har.
Oh, it's like Gemara says, Kol Demirsa, here's the rule. Kol de Kapid. Anyone who cares, Kapdi Bahadeh, it cares about you. The like Kapid. And if you don't care, like Kapdi Bahadeh doesn't care about you. Right?
Like dreams.
This is kind of like dreams.
Interpretation.
And this is the same idea. This idea that my father explained. I once published a paper on this subject, and I applied my father's rule to this, to the meaning of this Gemara. If you don't care about it, I'm not inviting judgment because the whole thing's by God's grace. So I don't care. You're saying I don't deserve? I know I don't deserve. If you care and you think you deserve, then it cares about you. But you don't care because you don't think you deserve to begin with. The whole thing's by God's grace. So it doesn't care about me because I never said I deserve.
And also, I think the lesson is not to give credence to these negative energies.
Don't give credence to Klippa.
Don't give focus on credence.
The more you fight the Klippa,
then you're not focusing on Hashem.
That's right.
Have two thoughts.
That's right. The more you focus on Klippa, the expression in Tanya is, if you wrestle with someone dirty, you become dirty too. So you try to fight with negative energy, it ends up dragging you down more. Just forget about it. Focus on Hashem. It's by God's grace I'm here. Everything I have is a gift from Hashem, and that's where you focus. Just go that way. I saw a tshuva responsa from Rabbi Feinstein, who I incorporated that responsa in my paper that I wrote, who applies this ruling to Ein Hara. That if you care about Ein Hara, it cares about you. You don't care about Ein Hara, it doesn't care about you. For the same reason. Rabbi Feinstein doesn't give the reason, but I applied my father's logic to Rabbi Feinstein's ruling. That in Ein Hara, if you don't care about it, because you're not inviting any judgment, because you don't think you deserve, the whole thing by God's grace, then it doesn't care about you.
And isn't this the real problem with an Avera, God forbid, someone does, it's that now they're focused on, they feel
That's
bad,
right.
they're focused, and they're just constantly focusing
The
on
Avera
it, and
gets
then
you-
they don't continue doing mitzvot.
The Avera gets you twice.
The Avera itself,
That's right.
but what happens afterwards?
So the Avera got you twice.
Yeah.
You did it, and then it dragged you down tomorrow because look, you're so involved in it.
And second one,
So it's
maybe
all
worse than the
negativity.
first.
Loy Kapti. And that's perhaps why in Israel, they didn't care. Because in Israel, they have revelation of God clear. It was clear, grace of Hashem. It's open, it's revealed. They don't have to like dribble and fight with the negative energy. Because it's all clear, it's Jerusalem.
Right.
It's only in Babylonia where they were like, where things were concealed and had to look and find godliness. So over there, they were kind of stuck, so to speak, on this lower level of spirituality, where they were almost forced or more easily forced to care for the negative spiritual energy, and thus were actually affected by it. But nonetheless, the Gemara concludes, even though you don't care about it, and therefore it doesn't care about you, but some concern there should be. It still exists. Even though you're saying, by the grace of Hashem, I don't care about it, it doesn't care about you. Nonetheless, it still exists. Judgment still exists. You can't discount judgment just because you decided everything's by the grace of Hashem and you don't care. Judgment still exists, and negative spirituality still exists, and it can still get you. So there's got to be some concern for it. It doesn't not exist because you stop caring. But as a rule, my focus is on what I have to. You acknowledge negativity as a hot basket of waste. That's what it is, and let it be scattered to the air.
Maybe that's the declaration that the person says to the witch. Maybe that's just the amount you have to give attention to it, and then move on.
Exactly, that's the attention. The
I mean,
attention you're giving. That's right.
a lot of detail, but that the message is that
Exactly.
Give it its whatever
You exist.
necessary amount.
You're very pleasurable, but it's a wasted pleasure. You're very
Acknowledge what it is.
that's right.
and
You're very enjoyable, but it's total waste. It's excrement. You exist, and it's very enjoyable, but it's a waste. It's complete waste, and therefore let it be scattered. let it be scattered. So you're concerned with it, you acknowledge its existence, but don't be hyper focused on it.
Right.
Because then it drags you down.
You have to acknowledge that you may have been a part of it somehow, but otherwise it wouldn't have presented itself to you.
Exactly.
So now deal with it.
And
quickly
move on with
move
life. That's right. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna stop over here. I have to take my wife to the airport. So tomorrow, God willing, my wife is going out of town today. So tomorrow morning, there's still this class I won't be here because I have to be home with the kids. But God willing, I will do drop off quickly.
This class.
So I'll be here by God willing by 8:30. I have to do drop off at 8:15,
Right.
and I could be here at 8:30 to continue our Gemara because the Gemara is going to give us more background behind the Zugos and more about witchcraftery. So it's going to be exciting and interesting. A wonderful day of the Chodesh. Chanukah.
Take care.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment in the Gemara. Absolutely never.
I'll keep you on your toes. Here.
That's right. Okay, take care.
All right, Sang, have a good day. Thanks.
Good.